Doctor, I can't feel the bottoms of my feet. My legs are always in pain. I feel like I'm going crazy.
I'm sorry, but there's nothing we can do about your neuropathy. There's no cure. All we can do is hopefully treat the symptoms and pray we don't need to amputate your leg.
Amputate my leg?
Yes, ma'am. Amputate your leg.
My stomach dropped to the floor as I watched in horror my 75-year-old mother take the electric chainsaw I kept in the garage, pull the throttle back to full speed, and bring it within inches of her legs as the sharp blades ripped through the air, and a crazed look of desperation washed over her face that screamed, "I'm going to do this no matter what," all because of the painful neuropathy that stole her ability to walk, to sleep peacefully at night under the covers while ripping away her independence. A total inferno of painful sensations from the bottoms of her feet that spread up her legs and made her skin so sensitive, even the slightest touch of a bedsheet to the gentle breeze of the wind made her cry out in pain, as if her lower body was doused in gasoline and lit on fire every day of her life. But luckily, as if God heard my cries to stop in those few split seconds, she blew a fuse in our old house, bringing the chainsaw to a complete stop. And yet still, she held on to it with a white-knuckle grip, arms shaking like it was her own personal life preserver, determined to end this nightmarish torture once and for all. But you see, although she might have been saved by the grace of God, I believe God had other plans for us that day, because after I whisked her away to the hospital, it forced me on an unbelievable trek through the medical industry, where I discovered a secret truth about neuropathy pain and the doctors who prescribe treatments for it that I'm sure could get me in trouble, and I'm sure will make you screaming mad, a truth they don't want you to know. But a truth you need to hear if you want to end the debilitating pain, stinging needles, skin sensitivity, and fiery discomfort once and for all that steals your life and robs you of your freedoms, leading me down a wild path where I stumbled upon a centuries-old solution that calms the number one root cause of your neuropathy, regardless if it's peripheral, focal, how long you've been dealing with it, or where it started in your body. A side effect-free solution so powerful it actually targets the true cause of neuropathy to calm the pain and even regenerate your overexcited, damaged nerve endings, as you welcome happy relief with arms wide open and your everyday life is restored. But not only that, rescue you from a life filled with doctor visits, ER trips, more medication costs, and potentially amputation. This pain-erasing nerve regeneration breakthrough has never seen the light of day until now, for reasons that will shock you, and why I've already had to take this video down not once, but 3 times, because they don't want you to know about it. You see, right now, over 24,438 men and women with neuropathy are walking around with better balance, more strength, healthier mobility, and without this daily pain. They ditched their side effect-filled medication and fired the conventional wisdom that was no longer working for them. So please keep watching, because I don't know how much time we've got left. If you're a bit skeptical, I understand, and I don't expect you to believe what you just heard. I just ask that you give me a chance to explain. Because the truth of the matter is, this issue is controlled by the pharmaceutical companies. And if something works that's so effective at helping you erase the pain while regenerating your damaged nerves, something that's new and exciting and can help you get back on your feet, but it can't be turned into a drug, they'll do whatever they can so you never hear about it. For them, billions are on the line, and they have their big greedy mitts wrapped tightly around not only your fragile nerve endings, but the 20 million others in this country who suffer from this same problem. It angered me because my own mother was a victim of their lies and deceit, and I'm sure it'll anger you. That's why I urge you to stick around till the end, because it could be your ticket for permanent relief. Hi, my name's Carl Jensen, and I wish I didn't have to share this story with you because it's emotional for me to revisit, yet one you need to hear if you have any type of neuropathy pain. You see, leaning on my faith is what got us through and why you need to hear this miraculous story of healing, because it can save your life or the life of someone you love before it's too late and you have to be rushed to the hospital, or worse, they need to amputate one of your limbs from infection. That's why, in the next 3 minutes, I'll reveal the reason why prescription medication does nothing to fix the underlying cause of your neuropathy or permanently erases your pain. In fact, you'll see why most medications prescribed fail 80% of the time. Again, it's a truth that will shock you. And how most doctors know about this but refuse to listen or care as you go about your days suffering in silence, a prisoner trapped in your own body, when in reality, a simple key has existed for hundreds of years that will release you from this chamber cell of torture before it's too late. Because the pain and discomfort you encounter on a daily basis technically has nothing to do with your nerves, but something else deep in your body that medical researchers have labeled the inflammation gatekeeper, which has been left pried open for years, possibly decades, allowing an army of toxic inflammatory compounds to march in and invade your nervous system, leaving a path of destruction while setting fire to your nerve cells responsible for touch and sensation. These toxic invaders are completely overlooked by any checkup or physical examination by your doctor and rarely discovered in any blood work, yet hide in plain sight, camouflaged to detection, and have been shown to be the underlying cause of most neuropathy pain and many other health conditions you might be dealing with. That's why I believe this video has now gone viral and helped over 24,438 men and women find permanent, natural relief, because this ancient solution, secretly handed to me by one rogue doctor in the unlikeliest of places, is the one simple yet powerful method that closes the door on these invaders to stop the numbness, the pain, and searing hot zaps that now dominate your days and nights. I promise, the beauty behind this side effect-free breakthrough for nerve pain that's been proven by some of the most prestigious pain relief publications has been shown to clinically work no matter your age, how long you've been dealing with the pain, or the reason why. And as the sun will show its smiling, warm face in the morning, I promise, once you begin following this rapid relief ritual, you'll love how you can sleep through the night again, pain-free. You'll roll out of bed, plant your feet on the ground, and love how you can take off without any discomfort or balance issues. Heck, the first time you notice this, you might even jump for joy, or sprint out of your bedroom yelling and screaming with your arms flailing in the air. Better yet, you'll get back to living again without the sensitivity, pins and needles, or numbness that might have forced you into seclusion. Your days will be pleasant and full of your favorite activities with those you care about, as you say goodbye to the depression, anger, and sadness that neuropathy has brought into your life. Along with the idea these daily and painful interruptions are supposed to be your new norm. But I'm here to tell you, it doesn't have to be this way anymore. You can get your life back. I promise you'll be shocked, because what I'm about to reveal, 90% of doctors don't know, and if they do, they consciously decide to keep it a secret from you, because this isn't a drug they can prescribe, but something for all, and found in publications like the Journal for the International Study of Pain, along with hundreds of years of use and thousands of success stories showing that it works. Like Josie, for example, a 63-year-old former athlete mom of 3 and grandmother. I loved this. First time in over 4 years and I don't feel any pain. I can walk normally and I can also get out of bed with no pain. Plus, I'm sleeping like a baby again without waking up in excruciating discomfort. This has given me life back. Thank you. Or Christine from Texas, who says, "This has been a lifesaver. I feel great and recommend it to anyone that suffers from neuropathy. I'm a big woman and work as a housekeeper in a hospital and suffer so much with leg and foot pain. But with this, I feel a difference. I'm going on 6 months and still feel a difference. Thanks." My husband and I did what you said a week ago, and I am here to tell you that we're already feeling different, a good different. He has nerve pain in his back that he suffered from for years, but now his pain is no longer there. And I have diabetic neuropathy. Already the pain has lessened. I have more energy and won't stop. I recommend this to everyone. We recommend this to everyone we know. That's Leslie from Massachusetts. And here's Don from Florida, who wrote in to say, "I tried this for the first time a few months ago. I was having such bad pain in the ball of my foot and toes, and then it began traveling up my legs. Yet once I started doing this, it helped within a few days, and I have not experienced that pain since, over 100 days later. I do still have a little burning sensation, but nothing like I did before I started this once daily habit. And I make sure not to skip any days because it's the only thing that's actually helped with my foot pain." Incredible. Every day I receive voicemails, emails, and phone calls from individuals who've watched this same video you're on, who've experienced a transformation you can only explain as otherworldly. Now, you may still be a bit skeptical. However, I just ask you to watch the remainder of this quick video and give me a chance to explain, because this ridiculously simple solution that takes seconds isn't taught in medical school, but has everything to do with releasing you from neuropathy prison, and could even refresh your memory, improve your heart health, and help lower blood sugar levels. You see, you might have believed you've tried everything before, but I promise you've never tried this ancient breakthrough that's finally been unveiled, despite Big Pharma's best efforts to keep this under wraps. Because that's the problem. It's been there for all to see, yet buried under look-the-other-way tactics and kept away from prying eyes like mine because they don't want you to know something like this exists that's side-effect-free and not habit-forming. They'd rather just put you on more gabapentin, Lyrica, amitriptyline, or other painkillers. It's why I'm not sure how long I can keep this online. Time is ticking, so please pay attention because this can very well save your life or the life of someone you love. Today, I want to give you the same gift my mother was given and finally say goodbye to the pain that keeps you up at night and prevents you from getting the rest you need. To get back to enjoying life, doing what you love the most without the debilitating aches that force you to sit on the sideline. To be comfortable, whether sitting, standing, or walking for longer periods of time with better balance. But more than that is the independence and freedom you'll regain, so you never have to rely on others, while freeing you from a life filled with doctor visits, medication, emergency trips to the hospital, amputation, and possibly an early death. So, are you ready? Please lean in and pay attention because we don't have much time. Hi there, I'm Carl and I live in a small city outside of Tampa, Florida with my wife Cindy and our 2 girls. And I teach chemistry at the local middle school. Chemistry is my passion, so I guess you can say I'm a little bit of a bookworm. But more than that, what we love to do on the side is volunteer at our local church. You see, since I can remember, both our parents instilled in us a will to work, faith, and to give back to those less fortunate. However, for the longest time, I felt I could never help the one person who needed it most, my mom. After the unexpected death of my dad, that's when I noticed the change happening to her. Maybe it was my father who was hiding it or because she was more occupied, but once he passed, her brain began to decay right in front of us. she slowly became more confused, fatigued, and forgetful. So to keep an eye on her and make sure nothing bad happened, she moved in with our family. And I'm glad she did, because soon after, that's when the pain started. I remember sitting at the breakfast table before church, and she took off her socks and shoes. I said, "Mom, what's wrong?" And she just replied, "It feels like the bottoms of my feet are tingling with pins and needles." I gave her some ibuprofen and told her to just relax and put her feet up. We all thought it was nothing until the next day the pain came back, except worse. And this continued on for 2 weeks. I thought maybe it was the early dementia she was diagnosed with playing tricks, but what happened next scared us all. We were at church and it was time to stand up and head to the front. I was in the back of the line and Mom was the first. Then, as if everything played out in super slow motion, she took a step and I watched her legs buckle as her body fell face forward in front of everyone. Immediately we rushed to her aid, and in her slightly confused state, she yelled out, "My feet, I can't feel them." That's when I knew this was serious and immediately picked her up and rushed her to the emergency room. I didn't know what to believe. Was this dementia? The meds they prescribed her for it? Diabetes? I had no idea. But that's when the doctor gave us the grim news. You see, my mom, the tough woman she is who never wanted to complain, finally confided that her feet and legs were now in excruciating pain most days of the week, while becoming increasingly more sensitive to touch and pockets of numbness. Many times, she said, the pain would keep her up for all hours of the night, like dealing with a constant migraine in her legs that never went away. That's when he officially diagnosed her with idiopathic peripheral neuropathy. I asked him if it was the drugs for her dementia that caused this, and he assured me no. It's actually a disease with no known cure and many times no known origins, and all they could do was treat her symptoms as best as possible and hope not to amputate. He prescribed her gabapentin, which is a nerve pain medication, and sent us on our way. I'll be honest, I felt terrible for my mom. She worked hard to raise our family, and she deserved to be her happiest. But after the death of my father, her husband of 46 years, and then the dementia diagnosis, plus this, I could see the light in her eye begin to go out. I wanted to just reach in and take the pain away, but all we could do was pray, take the gabapentin, and hope her symptoms would lessen. But after the first 30 days, not only did the gabapentin not help, but her symptoms got worse. That's when I did a quick Google search and found a lot of surprising yet scary information on this drug. Stuff that was hidden from the public that your doctor may or may not know about. And if they do and still prescribe it, it should be considered a crime. According to Therapeutics Initiative, which is an independent watchdog group, in an article titled Gabapentin for Pain, New Evidence from Hidden Data, researchers discovered gabapentin at best only helps a minority of patients, 23% to be exact, and with only minimal effects. They dug deeper and discovered that its off-label promotion for neuropathy pain was aided by selective publication and only the citations of studies with favorable outcomes. Basically, they fudged the data. Not only that, they found the real data indicated gabapentin increased adverse side effects in 67% of patients, including but not limited to dizziness, confusion, and edema. I couldn't believe it. The doctor had given my mom, someone with the beginning stages of dementia, something that not only made her confusion worse, but didn't even work in literally 80% of patients. I was livid and ready to march back to that hospital to have a word with him. And I guess you could say my wish was granted, because that night, that's when it happened. We were upstairs eating dinner and Mom was downstairs in the living room. Then, out of nowhere, I heard the weirdest sound, the sound of my electric chainsaw starting up. Cindy and I looked at each other, and I sprinted down the stairs, only to see my mom sitting there, chainsaw in her hand with a possessed look on her face, mumbling to herself, "I'm going to get rid of this pain even if it kills me." My brain couldn't make sense of what was happening. It was like the slowest, most horrific horror scene playing out right in front of me in my own home, and my mom was the lead actor. Yet before I could even take a step forward and rip the chainsaw out of her hands, She blew the fuse, and the chainsaw stopped right away, inches from her legs. She just looked up with painful tears in her eyes, hands shaking, and just mumbled, "I'm sorry, Carl, I just want the pain to stop." That's when Cindy made her way downstairs, and we both ran over to console her. We were all crying. I felt terrible for her tortured soul. And now her sense of independence and freedom was being taken away with each passing day. First it was her memory, and now it was her physical ability to move around and live a normal life. My mom used to love dancing. I have fond memories of her during my childhood dancing in the kitchen, with Dad singing old jazz tunes. But those days were long gone. Again, we rushed her to the ER and demanded they admit her, at least overnight, to figure out a treatment plan without exacerbating her dementia symptoms. That's when the same doctor walked in that gave her the gabapentin. I looked at him and steam burst out of my ears. I was angry he would prescribe my mom something that didn't work and made her more confused, all in the name of profits. Because you see, while researching this drug, I discovered a shady side of the medical industry, where doctors get kickbacks behind the scenes for prescribing certain drugs. Many times drugs that don't work and come with numerous side effects. Gabapentin was one of them. It was sickening. Normally I'm a peaceful man who easily forgives, but this mishap tested my faith, and we asked for another doctor to see her. I'm sure you would have done the same, or hoped your loved ones would do the same for you. And that's when we met someone that would change our lives, in the last place I would have ever imagined. A neurologist who grew up on the island of Okinawa, Japan with his family, and to protect his identity, we'll just call him Dr. Noguchi. Although young and fresh out of medical school for a few years, Dr. Noguchi had the most pleasant demeanor and calming attitude with my mom. She immediately felt at home in his presence and took to him right away, like he's been doing this for 30 years. He also spoke perfect English. After he was done examining her, it was late and he recommended she get some sleep. That's when he pulled me aside and asked to take a walk with him to the cafeteria, where we could chat freely away from the other doctors and nurses. We ordered some food, sat down, and that's when he began to open up to me about the neuropathy pain my mom was experiencing and what we could do to help her find relief. He said, "Carl, in Okinawa, Japan, where I'm from, we're classified as a blue zone. That means our population experiences very little disease while living well into our 90s and 100s. Now, many outside of our little slice of heaven believe it's because of genetics, but it's not. The number one factor researchers found, including myself, and what I like to jokingly call the Okinawan secret, was a lack of inflammation in our daily lives. You see, too much inflammation in the body damages every cell, every organ, and every nerve fiber." Once he said nerve fibers, that's when I leaned in and really began to pay attention. He said, when there's too much inflammation in the body over a long period of time, disease begins to overtake, and your vital systems start to break down. This includes the tips of your nerves, especially the ones at the skin's surface, essentially cranking up the dial on their activity until they burn out. That's why those with neuropathy, regardless of the type, have so much sensitivity to simple things like bed sheets, their socks, even a gentle breeze. Then it eventually gets harder to walk, and their quality of life goes up in flames. Now, there are a lot of inflammatory pathways in the body, but there's one that controls all. I call it the inflammation gatekeeper. If this gatekeeper is switched on, inflammation runs rampant. But if dampened, you'll be surprised how fast the pain and nerve sensitivity goes away. Its technical name is NF-κP, and it's activated by these little molecules called inflammatory cytokines. You see, these cytokines get produced by your immune system to help fight off foreign invaders like viruses. But when you're chronically inflamed, your body is releasing these cytokines all day and night, which kicks off an inflammation domino effect and causes NF-κB to open its doors, unleashing a tsunami wave of fiery destruction into your bloodstream around the clock, and many times for years. And your mom's nerve receptors aren't immune to this destruction, along with the 20 million others who suffer from some form of neuropathy in this country. In my research, I've come to the conclusion the number one reason for all this inflammation can be found in our environment. Everything from environmental toxins that enter your body to the air we breathe, the water we drink, and especially the foods we eat. For example, the National Endocrine Society found although water treatment plants here in the States do a good job of removing pollutants, many still sneak through into your water supply. In their findings, they discovered chemicals such as arsenic, lead, mercury, and many plastic microbes were found, which can have a disastrous effect on the human body's inflammatory response over the years. Then there's the air we breathe. One group of researchers reviewed numerous studies and have concluded this, as he handed over his tablet, that outdoor and indoor pollution accounts for approximately 4 million deaths every year, all by stimulating multiple pathways of inflammation in the body as a result of all this pollution, leading to the secretion of inflammatory mediators like cytokines. As you can see, we're bombarded by toxins every day that kick up the inflammatory response in your body, which, over time, can break down your nervous system and overheat your nerve cells. However, what I've seen in the research, the biggest issue is food and certain ingredients. I've prepared a list for you. The 6 biggest ones are 1. Sugar and high fructose corn syrup, where multiple studies have found eating these foods contributes to a high degree of inflammatory cytokine compounds in your body. 2. Artificial trans fats, which the Journal of Clinical Therapy has found increases your risk of developing inflammatory-based diseases when consumed even in small amounts. Diseases like neuropathy, dementia, even heart disease. 3. Vegetable and seed oils, which are omega-6 fatty acids and considered pro-inflammatory, meaning they create inflammation in the body, according to Harvard Medical. 4. Refined carbohydrates, like many breads and baked goods. According to the National Institutes of Health, the processed grains are hard for your body to break down and release a flood of inflammatory compounds into your bloodstream. 5. Excessive alcohol, which has been shown to increase your cardioreactive protein levels in your body, a significant marker of inflammation. 6. And last but not least, processed meats, which contain what's called advanced glycation end products. AGEs are created when cooking these meats at high temperatures and have been found to increase oxidative stress and inflammation in your body, according to the American Journal of Dietetics. In the end, Carl, your mom's neuropathy pain, along with the millions of others, is a devastating disease and one that's caused by a buildup of toxic inflammatory compounds over the years. Unfortunately, Western medicine has no cure for neuropathy because they'd rather prescribe medication that tries to fix the problem with a Band-Aid without treating the root cause. But that's where I believe I can help. However, you must promise me not to share this with anyone. I can get in trouble because I'm not allowed to recommend anything outside of Western medicine, which is a crime, really. I got into medicine because of my grandfather, who was a famed physician. He loved helping people, as do I. So, I just want to help. And with that, he handed me a yellow sheet of paper with a list of weird ingredients and vitamins that he said could help her body regenerate her nerve endings, slow down the progression, while closing the door on the inflammation gatekeeper in FKB. I took a quick look at them, and many I'd never heard of before, even though I was a trained chemist. He just told me these will help, and to look them up on my own to see what he meant. And from there, he excused himself and faded back into the hospital. We never saw him again, and my mom was discharged the next day. So, when we finally got her back home and made sure she was comfortable, I fired up my laptop and began going through these weird ingredients one by one. And very soon, I noticed a repeating pattern that made my heart rate increase as hope filled my body, and I'm going to share them with you now. The first class of ingredients on the list were 4 different types of B vitamins. They were vitamin B2, B6, B12, and B1. It turns out this class of B vitamins plays a pivotal role in your nervous system maintenance. Not only that, but they also actually help accelerate nerve repair, regeneration, and recovery in those with neuropathy. They've also been shown to help relieve pain while having a powerful anti-inflammatory effect that also helps relieve the aches associated with neuropathy. Next up were the ingredients alpha-lipoic acid and acetyl-L-carnitine. Alpha-lipoic acid seems to delay or reverse peripheral neuropathy through multiple antioxidant properties. Treatment with alpha-lipoic acid increases reduced glutathione, which is an important antioxidant that helps scavenge this oxidative damage inside the body. And then there's acetyl-L-carnitine, which has been shown to have numerous neuroprotective effects in patients with peripheral neuropathy of different types, exactly like a shield wall that protects your nerve endings from the ravages of inflammation. Next on the list was turmeric root. It turns out turmeric not only lessens the pain in those with peripheral neuropathy, but also was found to shut off this master inflammatory gatekeeper in FKB, essentially taking care of this issue at the source and not with a Band-Aid like most drugs. Also on the list was passion flower. And what's neat about passion flower is that it turns on your brain's pain stopper switch. You see, your brain produces a compound called gamma-aminobutyric acid. The more GABA your brain releases, the less pain you'll feel. And that's where passion flower can help. In fact, the Native Americans have been using passion flower for thousands of years to calm nerves, reduce anxiety, lessen pain, and even help improve sleep. Next was Chinese skullcap. According to pharmacology researchers at the University of California, Irvine, Chinese skullcap has been found to be effective at alleviating pain in those with neuropathy while being non-addictive and non-tolerance forming. In fact, it's been shown to be so effective, researchers believe this can be turned into an effective pharmaceutical drug to help treat neuropathy pain. Now, between you and me, I hope they don't turn this into a drug because that means the price will probably increase for this natural compound 100 times. And last but not least, what seemed to be the cherry on top to an already perfect ice cream sundae was the ingredient feverfew, also known as medieval aspirin. In short, this powerful remedy helps block the master inflammatory gatekeeper in FKB. According to a study published in the Journal of Phytomedicine, researchers concluded feverfew flower extract behaves as a potent pain reliever in acute, inflammatory, articular, and neuropathic pain, while also appearing to be a natural strategy for the treatment of different kinds of pain you might encounter on a daily basis. After it was all said and done, it felt like I was holding in my hand the real prescription my mom needed to calm her nerves, reduce the pain, and get her back on her feet again. But there was just one problem. Where did I go to source all these ingredients? It felt like a daunting task. Despite being a self-proclaimed bookworm who taught chemistry, I wasn't a master ingredient formulator. But I couldn't let that stop me, because every day I could see her health decaying more. I was also convinced this neuropathy was accelerating her rate of dementia because of the depression and sadness. My mom was slightly forgetful and confused, but it progressed so fast that many times I caught her with a blank look on her face, just staring off into the distance. This disease was killing her before our eyes. But I knew if we could get her life back and be more independent, I had a sneaky suspicion her rate of forgetfulness would slow to a snail's pace. So, after speaking with Cindy, we both agreed it was the right move to take $6,900 out of our savings and hire someone to help us source everything privately from an expert who could extract these ingredients in the perfect ratios her nerves needed to help heal themselves, while knocking out this damaging inflammation. So, after 4 very, very long weeks of waiting, her shipment arrived. Now, this private formulator told Cindy and me that it was best practice to have at least 180 days worth to ensure her body had enough time to absorb the entire spectrum of ingredients and to make the adaptations needed to hopefully find relief without rush. He also cautioned us not to get our hopes up. We were the first to try something like this out of the thousands of formulas he's produced, but we had to give it a shot. In my eyes, all I kept replaying was that scene of her holding the chainsaw, inches away from sawing her legs off because of the pain and her lapse of reality. This had to work. and we prayed for a miracle. So with that being said, once her shipment arrived, I opened the box and gave her 2 tiny little capsules with a glass of water and just waited to see what happened. Now, the first couple of days, we didn't notice much. I didn't expect overnight success, but within a week or so, something changed. She kept her socks on. We also noticed she was walking up and down the stairs more. By week 2, we noticed her balance was better around the house. By week 3, I caught her in the garden planting tomatoes, peppers, and cucumbers. By week 4, she was walking up and down the stairs for exercise and without holding on to the handrails. And then on the 42nd day, Cindy and I came home one Sunday after church and grocery shopping. We pulled into the garage and the music was blaring upstairs. We feared the worst. But when we ran upstairs, our fears melted into tears. She was dancing with our youngest daughter to one of her old jazz albums on the record player. We just stood there in disbelief and happy confusion because I haven't seen Mom that joyful and active in a long time. I went over to her and said, "Mom, are you all right?" She just gently pushed me away and said, "Never better." I walked into the kitchen and just stared at the refrigerator, filled with pictures of her and Dad and our entire family the last time we were all together. Cindy just grabbed my hand and pulled me into her as small tears of relief pooled under my eyes. I just wished Dad had been there to witness her happiness in person, but I knew he was there in spirit. We could feel it. And since then, every day she got better and better. She even began going to the local senior events 3 days per week in our town. And get this, she even began teaching exercise dance classes at the community center. It was amazing. I credit this formula for saving my mom's life while also accidentally slowing down the progression of her dementia. Then, one day she came home after getting dropped off and asked if she could share this with some of her friends at the community center. She rattled off about 15 people who also had the same type of neuropathy she did. And of course, I agreed. Who was I to hold on to this secret in private? It wasn't my right. So I contacted the same formulator who was now working for the company Golden After 50, and he created enough for each person in her friends group. Remarkably, these men and women began experiencing the same life-changing results without any side effects, tolerance, and without developing a habit. They were sleeping better because the pain had lessened. They could walk longer without taking breaks, and all of them began enjoying their freedoms again like they had so many years ago. And then the unexpected happened, because once these men and women began experiencing relief, our phone began ringing off the hook from others looking for the same solution. And not solely those suffering from neuropathy pain, but their children who thanked us over and over again for helping their parents. Just like I helped my mom, we felt blessed, and since have partnered with this same team from Golden After 50 to get this out there for those looking for this relief. We never believed any of this would happen in our wildest dreams, but it did, and we feel it's our duty to now spread the word and help. That's why I'd love to introduce you to Nerve Rejuve. Nerve Rejuve, born out of necessity, is filled with the perfect complement of Mother Nature's pain-fighting, inflammation-erasing ingredients shown to fight back against the ravages of neuropathy, while helping to support normal function and even regenerate healthy nerve endings, allowing you to get back to a life filled with more pain-free days, doing what you love. But more than that, give you back the freedom to live a normal, healthy life without holding yourself back. And all without nasty side effects associated with most drugs doctors prescribe that attempt to treat this problem. Nerve Rejuve is a once-in-a-generation answer. We are so excited to share it with you today, and why, in just a few days from now, you can finally experience the relief you've been searching for this whole time. Just like Carolyn, who wrote in to say, "Nerve Rejuve has helped me get back on my feet. Without it, I don't think I'd still be here. It was so depressing having my active life taken away by neuropathy. But with this in my corner, I can sleep better at night, and I'm back to my favorite activities again, like hiking." Or John from New York, who says, "My doctor tried all the treatments with me, and all they did were give me terrible side effects. I was lost and without hope. But then my wife shared this video with me. I ordered 180 days worth, and in less than a month, my symptoms began to clear up. Within 60 days, I was back to riding my bike in the morning. And now, my wife and I are planning a trip. Thank you, Carl, for all your help. I don't know where I'd be without this. And there's Linda from Utah, who wrote in to say how her insurance company denied paying any more for her treatments. But luckily, she found this same video you're